So much, Dorina. It's a great pleasure to be here and give you a bit of an overview about the European Union engagement in capacity building and security sector reform in Africa. Now, I try to push a button here, and then you should. There it is. You see the EU's logo, the blue flag with the 12 yellow stars. That's us. The English is on that side, and my head is easier on going to the right here, so I can see what I'm doing. CSDP, of course, stands for the common. Sorry for that. Common foreign and security policy, and the element we're talking about is the one in the lower left corner, peacekeeping and crisis management. Our crisis management is based on the principles of the UN Charter, and our missions, in particular in Africa, are de facto contingent on UN Security Council resolutions. The big competitive of the advantage of the EU is that it can integrate security, defense and security in crisis management in a comprehensive approach with other policy areas, with our diplomacy, with our development policy, with humanitarian aid, finances and trade. The European Union is this multidimensional entity. It's not a security or defense pact per se. It's first of all an European integration organization, but it has developed over time, and we're continuing to do this more rapidly than ever, also the security leg we're standing on. Within the comprehensive approach, the militaries of the EU, one representative is sitting next to me, with Colonel Mizo, have a very important role to play as an integral part of a broader strategy. We should always bear in mind that the ultimate solution to a crisis will always be political and will definitely require the use of diplomatic and civilian means just as military ones. The common security and defense policy is developed in partnership with the United Nations. And especially in the field of crisis management, our partnership has evolved and strengthened over the last years with the UN. We not only share the same values and have the same joint commitment for peace, we have also concrete operations going on, like the cooperation in the theater in Mali and in the Central African Republic, which are good examples. Same goes for prudent planning on Libya. The handover from EUFOR to MINUSCA in the Central African Republic earlier this year is an obvious sign of the maturity and of the operational added value of this partnership. The first conceptual step for our cooperation with the UN was the 2012 to 2014 EU Action Plan in support to UN peacekeeping. And the new strategic partnership was prepared by the EU and UN jointly in the spring this year. It defines several priority areas, namely rapid response and support to the African peace and security architecture. In fact, the EU common security and defense partnerships with the African Union are integral to the EU global strategy. The EU sees it as essential to advance the strategic cooperation with the African Union on common and global challenges on the basis of the joint Africa-EU strategy and the EU's global strategy, the 2030 Agenda and Africa's Agenda 2063. Peace and security was affirmed as the first priority of the Africa-EU Summit of 2014. The EU is implementing this priority through the Africa Peace Facility, APF, set up specifically to support peace and security operations on the African continent, with the EU having allocated over 2 billion euros for this purpose since 2014. Now, you may of course ask, why is the EU actually in Africa? What is behind this? And I think there are multiple reasons. And let me just point to a few. The first is, of course, the long joint history of Europe, European countries, and Africa in the various reasons, various areas. The second is, it's become very clear, without security, there is no development. Development is contingent on a secure environment. In all your countries as well as in Europe. It's nothing specific to Africa. And the EU is investing much in the development of your countries, of Africa as a whole. 38 billion euros, that's above 40 billion US dollars, will be invested in development aid in African countries from the EU until 2020. And in order for this investment to make sense, a very essential condition is a security, beneficial security environment. And last not least, African security is also impacting on Europe's security. Concrete examples are Libya, for instance, or other regions where terrorism impacts your countries, and spillover effects are seen from terrorists freely moving, becoming foreign fighters, to putting pressure on the population and causing migratory waves. So, taking it all together, there's a strong European interest in supporting African security. The Africa Peace Facility, lined out here, has 3 categories. First, African-led peace support operations, like the African Union mission in Somalia, which provides support to the transitory federal institutions, reconstruction, reconciliation, sustainable development. Another example is MICO-PAX and AUMISCA in the Central African Republic. Third example is the African Union mission in Sudan, or the one in Comoros. The second category of missions we're supporting are African Union and regional economic communities missions, African Peace and Security Architecture project. The EU is supporting the operationalization of the different elements of the APSA, such as the African Standby Force, the Continental Early Warning System, and others. The EU has committed over 28 million euros between the 1st January 2016 until the 8 end of 2018 to support APSAN. And lastly, the third group of missions we're supporting are the emergency response, through the emergency response mechanism. This mechanism provides immediate funding for the first stages of mediation actions and for fact-finding missions by the African Union or regional corporations, and ad hoc reinforcement of the planning cells ahead of peace support operations. During 2015, the APF funded 8 new activities in the field of mediation, like the Intergovernmental Authority on Development-led Monitoring and Verification in South Sudan, Human Rights and Military Experts Observation Mission in Burundi, or the mediation missions in the Central African Republic. In addition to the APF budget, the EU is also providing 50 million euros in support of the multinational task force against Boko Haram in Nigeria, Niger, Cameroon, Chad, and Benin. Now, there we go. Here you have an overview over the different CSDP missions, as you can see. 15 have been already completed. There's something. I don't know what's going on here. Which slides am I controlling? This one to the right or that one to the left?
You control this one.
Okay. There, that's where I wanted to go. 15 completed missions in the Balkans, the Caucasus, Sub-Saharan Africa, Middle East, and Southeast Asia. Majority of these missions were mixed military-civilian missions. The EU currently has 6 ongoing military missions and 11 civilian missions, the majority of which are 10 are on the African continent. The Horn of Africa, we have a comprehensive approach. Again, the comparative advantage of the EU to synchronize security assistance, development, and humanitarian assistance together with political cooperation. You see the EU development and humanitarian assistance and the 4 missions, AMISOM, the EU civilian capability mission, Nestor, the EU naval force Atalanta, and the EU training mission in Somalia. Altogether over 1 billion euros between 2011 and 2015. Somalia. This is not an EU mission. AMISOM is an African Union mission with funding from the EU. AMISOM staff comes from a wide range of nations across Africa. The force headquarters of the military component, for example, is staffed by officers from Burundi, Cameroon, Djibouti, Ethiopia, Gambia, Ghana, Kenya, Nigeria, Senegal, Sierra Leone, Uganda, and Zambia. The bulk of its troops come from 6 countries: Uganda, Burundi, Djibouti, Kenya, Ethiopia, and Sierra Leone. AMISOM benefits from a UN logistical support package, bilateral donations, and voluntary contributions to the UN managed trust fund in support of AMISOM. The European Union provides the resources needed for the payment of troop allowances and other related expenses within the framework of the African Peace Facility, APF. Until the end of September 2016, the EU has committed 1.227 billion euros. Further 120 million are foreseen between October this year and March next year. But already in the invitation I've been asked, how about the cuts? There have been cuts indeed, 20% cut in January 2016 for soldiers' allowance. Until end of 2015, we used to cover as an EU the equivalent of $1,028 per soldier per month, which will now be reduced to $822. Why are we doing this? For two reasons. First of all, EU funds are not endless. We also have financial limits, and we believe in African ownership. It's essential that Africa also takes responsibility, invests in its own security, and we're looking forward to support this mission further, but we also need African active participation and active investment from our African partners. So it is expected that the African Union will cover the 20% of the soldier allowances that the EU has been covered so far, has been covering. Very briefly, you tell me when I'm running out of time, so let me rush quickly through. The EU has also a naval mission, the operation on Atalanta at the Horn of Africa, fighting piracy and protecting the ships, in particular of the World Food Programme, which has reached 100% protection now. There's also an EU training mission in Somalia. Military training. Let me run through these real quickly. In addition to the military training, there is a civilian mission in Somalia, supporting the strengthening governance in Somalia, trains Coast Guards and maritime police, mentoring for judges and prosecutors on maritime crime in Somalia. Central African Republic, a military mission of the EU. The mission is looking to train up to 6 battalions of the Force Armée Centrafricaine within a robust mandate. I'm sure we hear more from Colonel Mison about this. To the Sahel, we have a regional approach, and it's getting a bit more complicated. Perhaps we can get there during the discussion. The EU training mission in Mali is also a military mission with 578 military personnel from 22 EU member states. As of today, 8 Malian battalions have been trained. 5 previously existing battalions have been retrained, and 1 more will be trained shortly. 22 EU member states are participating in this mission. Again, this military mission is complemented by a civilian mission continuing to provide assistance for governance stability to civil society and the Malian government. UCAP Sahel, Niger, also a civilian mission. And our, last not least, big naval operation in the Mediterranean, Operation Sophia. Now here the data is not accurate. Not only 13,000, but over 400,000 refugees have been saved, lives rescued on the sea, and more than 80 smugglers, human smugglers, arrested. And this is, I promise, my very last slide. The way ahead. The European Union will advance its strategic partnership with Africa and cooperation with the African Union. We are committed to supporting the local ownership of peace operations in Africa so that the African Union and the regional corporations are able to develop. And the new priorities will be set out at the African Union and EU Summit in Côte d'Ivoire in November next year. Let me thank you very much at this point for your attention, and I'm looking forward to the discussion. Thank you.